Welcome to Fishing Without Bait, a lifetime without definitive expectations. Whether you've gotten here by accident or were kidnapped or just hatched here, welcome aboard. I'm Jim Ellermeyer, I'm a behavioral health therapist, and what we do is we help people explode into their lives through full impact mindfulness. And we're going to continue our conversation with our fascinating guest, the Beastman.
Here's how my attitude's gone from the last, from when I left to when I came back. It's like, if I don't have a match, if I'm not getting paid, I don't care. I'm not going. I had that reputation because I wouldn't go to shows if I wasn't it was bad. But now I went from that to I'm getting paid. Okay, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Okay, as long as it makes sense in the story, I don't care. I don't at this point. If I just get booked just to come in and punch somebody, I'm okay with it because I'm not taking bumps. It's okay. I'm okay with that now. But one of my biggest influences, I transformed myself as a character as well. I used to wear a mask. I was wearing a mask calling myself Bulldozer, and it wasn't getting me any traction. And then on a fateful night in September of 2010 in Clarksburg, West Virginia, somebody bestowed the name on me, George the Beastman Fetty. So basically, it was a mix of George the Animal Steel and Beastman from He-Man's The Master of the Universe. Mm-hmm. Well, a few years gone by since then, almost 12, 13 years later, Beastman has ended up becoming my thing, and it's become my brand. It's just the thing, and it's the brand that people know me as. And that's something I had to relearn. You always learn something new in the wrestling business, especially I haven't going from a character that I was doing that wasn't getting over to a character now it's over anywhere he goes, and who is what makes me money. It's you can either be in the wrestling business. There's two things you could be: you make money or be one of the boys. I used to go from being one of the boys to making money, so I like money. I got bills to pay. I got bills to pay. I like to take my wife out and do nice things. So that's not going to do that by trying to pop the boys. That's not going to do that.
Tell to our listeners about the difference between making money and being one of the boys.
Sure. Being one of the boys is I can go out there and I can. You got a group of guys in the locker room, and you're trying to get the lot. This is back when I was younger, when I would be trying to pop the boys. And what I mean by pop is trying to get them to laugh. I would go out in the ring, I'd work the match, I would do stupid things just to get them to laugh. I'm just going to do this tonight and try to get the boys to laugh. And go out and have fun with the guys after the show and go drink with them and, have fun, rib the guys, just being one of the boys. Not take the business as serious. Now, it's not like that anymore. I'm all about more of if I'm going to drive somewhere, for me it's more about making how much money I can. Because now I have back then I didn't have a brand. I didn't have a name value to myself, but after the last few years of my career, getting a name value and seeing that I can actually make money doing this. It's different now, I know, if I buy t-shirts, people are going to buy them. I know if I get, booked, I know if I ask for a price, I know they're going to get people know they're going to get their money's worth when they see me now. I would rather drive 4 hours, make X amount of dollars, sell X amount of dollars of merch, go to my hotel and chill, and go home the next day, than go and hang out with the boys afterwards and spend all my money.
So do you book yourself?
I do. I'm a independent wrestler. I book myself out, and it's easier that way. I don't have an agent. I am not contracted anywhere. I'm not stuck to one place, is what I'm trying to say. So
okay. So you were talking about those detractors earlier, and Wes, sometimes we just have to give people permission to be wrong.
Yep.
That's really stops people dead in their tracks when you say, "I'm going to give you permission to be wrong."
Right.
Yes. So obviously things turned out very well for you. You're talking to us about Canada. You're talking to us about Australia. You're talking about going to Japan a few times. They just didn't spin the wheel and your name came up.
No. I had to make that opportunity happen. Um, Japan would probably be the best scenario. I got an opportunity to work with Shadow WX and Madman Pondo. Pondo is the booker over for Big Japan Wrestling. He's the American booker, so getting the opportunity to wrestle him and wrestle Shadow. Shadow WX is a Japanese legend in deathmatch wrestling, and getting the opportunity to work with them was like a big thing. One of my mentors in wrestling, Necro Butcher Dylan Summers,
Quite a name.
yes, he was. Real quick background: Dylan, he's a wrestling genius. He was featured in the movie The Wrestler, one of the best deathmatch wrestlers of all time. He's a West Virginia. He was born and raised in West Virginia. He lived when I was living back home. He used to live 45 minutes from my house, so I would actually pick him up and take him to the shows. I give him a lot of credit for my success because he was the one guy that would sit with me and tell me when I'm fucking up. He would tell me when I'm doing stuff right. He would tell me, "This is good, keep that. Don't do that. This is stupid." And he knew I wanted to go to Japan. So the original plan was it was supposed to be me and him because he came up with the idea. He was like, "Hey, this is how you get booked in Japan." So it was gonna be me. It was gonna be me and Necro against Pondo and Shadow. When Necro couldn't make it, so I ended up being somebody else, and it was fine. But I ended up like he told me why. He's like, "Do this, do this, do this, and then go out to dinner, say this," you know. So did the match. Almost got set on fire. Um, which is fine. Did the match. Went 8, and the one thing I was told was like, listen, talk to Pondo, pound your fist on the table, like that. And like, you damn a Pondo, what do I got to do to get to Japan? And that's what I did. And then we talked, and then a few months later, I get a message from Pondo. He's like, hey, July. Uh, these are dates. Can you make it? Without hesitation, yes. Without hesitation. I wasn't going to say no. My wife already knew, Anna already knew that I was wanting to go. She already knew. So she's like, when you go, you go. So I ended up going over. Best 3 weeks of my life as a wrestler. Got to experience things I never got to experience my first real tour of anything, and that was awesome. And then getting the opportunity to get invited back was even better.
I saw some of the clips of some of your matches, Wes. That's full throttle wrestling.
It is. It's deathmatch wrestling is a style that a lot of people don't associate with me with, and they probably still won't. But that was another thing. Like I had to take a risk, and when I was going over there, like Pondo, like everybody, I'm not known as a deathmatch wrestler in America, and that's fine. And I've never been one to I've never been afraid to do it. But if I was going to do it, it was going to be when the time was right. Well, the time was right, my friend, and that was Pondo. Pondo even told me when we were at when I was at the airport, he's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, Necro vouched for you to come over. You're on Necro's behalf, not mine. I'm concerned with this." He's like, and I told Pondo, I was like, Pondo, I guarantee you at the end of the tour, I'm going to ask you this question. What do you think? And then, because I knew I wasn't, like, he had concerns. And I understand, because he never knew me as a guy to get cut up or anything like that. Like, take glass or, like, barbed wire. And then, I understood that. So, like, going over, like, I had to prove myself again. I had to prove myself to, sorry, I don't
So could you describe a death match to us?
You're going into an element with things that you normally don't people understand tables and chairs and ladders and guardrails and ring bells. It's a whole different realm. It's like a step up from that. It's like light glass, barbed wire, like pizza cutters, thumbtacks, doors, fire, like cameras, camera cords, like there's a lot more unexpected things you wouldn't expect to use, So in going into that, I've always been. I've always been a guy that's never been afraid. I've always been afraid to get glass in me. Well, when I was over there, I did my first tube. I did a light tube match. An accident happened where the guy moved the light. Like the guy moved the tubes when I was getting ready to do something. I ended up getting a piece of glass stuck in my arm. It's still there. I need to get plastic surgery to
Hmm.
get it out. So, but
How do you win a death match? You don't die, do you?
no, you don't die. No, you
You're
don't
here.
die. No, you don't die. It's like you're just basically it's basically a wrestling match just with weapons, more extreme weapons, and the crowd likes seeing the pops, like to see the people go through all this stuff, and there's still like the biggest move in the match is the biggest weapon to go through. So that's the biggest. That's the story. There's stories to be told in wrestling. Like my job as a wrestler is to tell a story of my body, to get people to buy tickets to come back and see us the next time. That's my job. Uh,
So is the referee there just to count someone out? Or
so a referee is, in my opinion, the most important but unappreciated job in wrestling, because they're the ones that like are our communication to the guys in the back, to let us know our time cues, to let us know that what's going on. They have so much. They make the match mean more by doing so little, and people don't understand that. Like I got a friend that's a referee who is probably one of the best referees in the area, and he's been out traveling trying to figure out what he can do to get figure out what he can do to get noticed. And it's hard for referees to get noticed. And it's like I can't give him the as a wrestler I can give him the answers to that, but like as a referee I don't know, because I'm not a referee. So and I've tried to help like any way I could to be able to like tell him, like I've tried to help him like in any way I could. And it's hard sometimes because like a good referee is hard to find, but also a lot of promoters don't want to pay what they're worth. Trust me, if I ran shows and I could be able to pay what everybody's worth, I'd be broke. But at the end of the day, it's a business. People like a lot of people don't undervalue. A lot of people undervalue referees, and it sucks because like there's more bad wrestling than there is good, and the good referees don't get appreciated like they should.
so I think the folks out there are going to want to find out, you get paid before or after the match?
Well, it depends on where you go. So sometimes I get paid in advance. Sometimes I don't get paid for 3 days afterwards. But that's just some of the deals I make with people. And most of the times, like when I work with someone new, I always make sure I get my money up front, because I don't like until there's a trust built with them. You never know. So,
Yes. Or do you travel alone now, Wes?
uh, in my older years in the wrestling business, because I've been around for a while, the grizzled vet that I am, and I don't say that a lot. I do like to travel more with the younger. Like I do like to travel more with people, just because sometimes the car rides do get boring now every now and then. You can only listen to the Jim Cornette podcast so many times before your ears go crazy. But I still like every now and then. Like if it's like a couple hour drive, I'll do it by myself. But if I got like a 4 or 5 hour drive where I know I have to where I know it's going to be a little monotonous, I'll usually take somebody with me.
Do you find yourself mentoring some of these younger wrestlers?
I believe so. I have there's a there's always times where I go to new places and people I can walk into around here in Pittsburgh, I feel like I'm one of the more accomplished wrestlers, more respected wrestlers, because I'm that wrestler that never that beat, I've always I always beat in my own drum. Did what I felt like I did what I felt like was right for me. I didn't play within the system, and I never have. I felt like if I played within the system, I would have been stuck to where I'm at. I've gone outside the spectrum and did my own thing. Like I said, took risks, like we were talking about earlier, and took risk, and sometimes I failed, but in this situation, I've succeeded very well.
So what you're talking about is now, after all this experience that you have confidence in your abilities.
Yes, yes. I've never been. I've always had confidence in myself, but I've never showed it because, like I said, I've never been I'm not that guy that's going to stroke my own ego in front of people, because I've seen that happen to a lot of people. They've ended up being their own fit, they've ended up falling on their own face, and they've never been able to recover. So I don't like to gloat about myself.
So I know in the old days they used to call the bad guys heels and the good guys baby faces. Where do you fall at?
I'm just Beastman. Either they love me or they. I mean, you can ask anywhere I go. I'll try to be the baddest motherfucker around, but I end up being the most loved guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people. And my problem is like no matter how intense I'm in the ring, or no matter how much I try to like get people to hate me, they always see that glare, like you're seeing it right now, the gleam in my eyes. Like you say, oh, this guy's not so bad. No matter what I do.
We've got to get some Beastman t-shirts, buddy.
I can get you a Beastman t-shirt. That is not a problem.
I'd love to have one.
All right.
Love it. So what type of message, and you have had many messages tonight, what type of message do you have for our audience?
I would say impossible is not a word. I would say impossible is not an option, because anything is possible. No matter how much ups, no matter how many downs you can have, and no matter how many times you get stepped on, no matter where life takes you, there's always going to be times where it's going to get rough. But failure is not a word to be afraid of, because sometimes failure can be it might not be what you want at the moment, but it's only just an obstacle in your way to succeed on where you're looking at the end.
Wow. So how would folks out there, obviously people who are going to watch this, are going to watch some of your matches. They want to get some clips. How do they do that?
Well, cheap plug to indiewrestling.us. You can find all your Beastman matches on there. On social media, if you look up on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, easy username at Beastman Husk.
At Beastman Husk.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to watch some of these matches. You're a fascinating guy.
Thank you, sir.
What a life, huh?
It's been a good life, and it's just I'm getting ready to reach my the middle of my. I'm getting ready to. I'm at the peak now where I'm getting ready to slow things down a little bit after try to focus more on wrestling is always going to be there, and I kind of want to now focus more on trying to start a family and being there for my wife more. So
cool.
Here in the next few years.
Well, we all get to figure out what's important, Wes. Yeah. So at the end of every podcast, what we do is we offer a free prescription. That's fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself and do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself and forgive another. Remember, if we're all not the Creator's children, none of us are. Till all are free, none are free. Namaste, my friends.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at Sorgatron.